To re-welcome our head table here, let me present Dave Beach, CEO of the local organising committee, Jeffrey Webb, FIFA Vice President and Chairman of the organising committee for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, Darren Baisley, the coach of the New Zealand Under-20 national team, and Marion Meyer-Vorfelder, FIFA Head of Olympic Events, FIFA Under-20 World Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup. Before we go into the audience and take your questions, I would now like to get a short statement from all of our speakers up here. So I'd like to start with our host, Dave Beach. Are you happy with the draw?
Yeah, I guess one of the things we were looking for from the draw was a good spread of teams around the country, and I think we've absolutely got that. Obviously, our public and stated ambition is to fill the stadiums for this tournament, and I think when you look at the draw power of the teams around the country, we're more than happy, and there's just some absolutely stunning football that's particularly going to be played in the regions. I mean, Brazil heading to New Plymouth is going to be a fantastic story for them, and in Dunedin, Mexico, Uruguay, Serbia. I mean, it's going to be an absolutely great pool. So, look, more than happy with how things have played out tonight.
Thanks, Dave. I would then now like to hand over to Jeffrey Webb. Jeffrey, what does FIFA expect from this tournament?
From the draw, I think we can expect some great football, excellent football. I know the New Zealand, the organising committee, the government has been working very hard to put the necessary infrastructure in place for the tournament. We, of course, believe that the competition and the play on the field will definitely be a win-win.
Thanks, Jeffrey. So now moving to the sporting side, Darren, are you happy with the draw result?
I mean, it's an exciting evening for everybody. Now everybody knows who they're playing, including ourselves. And for us, we miss the South Americans, which is a bonus for us, I think, because they're always very, very good teams, very strong. So on paper, for us, it looks like a relatively favourable draw. We know that any team that qualifies for this tournament is going to be very strong, very good, very organised with some great players, and so we won't take the teams lightly. It's our job now to do as much research as we can into who they are, who the players are, how they play and everything, and we're still expecting this to be a very, very big challenge for us as a country, but when you look at it on paper, it's a great opportunity for us to now go and make history here in our own country and get out of the group stage.
Thank you. So then, from an operational point of view, Marion, you've seen the venues. Is New Zealand ready?
Yeah, thank you. We just concluded a quite comprehensive stadium tour, and we have to say we're just a little bit over 100 days to go, and everything is going according to plan. Everything is going very well, and we'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the LOC for the great cooperation, the professionalism and the enthusiasm, and it was really shown all over the country when we visited the stadiums.
Okay, so we then open the floor to your questions. If you could raise your hand so that we could give you a microphone so that everybody can understand, please.
Question for Darren. Darren, you mentioned making history, being the first New Zealand side to get out of the group. Do you think it's possible, and how can you do it?
I mean, we're working very, very hard with this group of players. We'll be physically, tactically, mentally ready for this tournament when it comes around. We'll know the opposition inside and out, and we'll be ready to give it our best shot and really make the country proud of hopefully our performance, and we'll be striving to achieve the results we can. Is it possible? Yes, of course it's possible. Is it going to be hard? Yes. But we'll be ready for the challenge, and I believe that we're good enough that we can make this happen.
Hey Darren, a few of your players said this week that they would have preferred coming up against some of the big boys, the Brazils, the Argentinas. Did you feel the same way, or are you happier, getting a bit of an easier draw?
I mean, that's nice to play the big countries, but I think realistically we want to do as well as we can in this tournament, and we do hope to play the big countries with the big stars. But I mean, who's to say the best player in the tournament isn't from Ukraine or isn't from USA? The next big stars, we don't know where they're coming from. So great challenge for us. But yeah, you're right. It would be nice to play the big names and big stars and big countries. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do that later on in the tournament.
How much do you know about Myanmar, Ukraine and USA?
All we know at the moment is from their qualifiers, and you know how they qualified. We've tracked that, you know, as they've been qualifying through the year. We've been tracking that, so we'll be able to get the games that they've played through the qualifiers and watch them. So pretty quickly we'll have a good database of how they've played, you know, who's played, who's done well, what are their, you know, the way they play and everything. So right now I haven't seen any of them play, but like I say, now we know who we're playing. That will happen quite quickly. That we'll get all that information, and by the time the tournament comes around, I hope to know each player's inside out.
In terms of preparation, is it just going to be the SC Wanderers side from here into the tournament, or when will you get a full strength team together, and do you have any other games lined up?
Yeah, so we'll work with the Wanderers squad until the end of the ASB Premiership. Then we'll make decisions on those players that we've been working with for the last 6 months on whether they'll carry on working with us through to the World Cup, plus the players that are in the other ASB franchises in New Zealand at the Phoenix and in some of the other groups. So within the next month we'll communicate to the players who's going to move forward into that next phase of between 25 and 30 players that'll potentially be selected for the final 21. We have got players offshore, so at the moment we're monitoring them and tracking them, and we're getting a lot of information back from themselves and their clubs of how well they're playing. And yeah, at some stage we'll have to make decisions on all of the players. Hopefully we'll have some build up international games. I think it's really important that we get the international games to play, to really assess how these players are, because you know, playing in the National League here in New Zealand isn't what they're going to be coming up against. So it's been a great opportunity for the players we've worked with, and some of them have done really well and pushed themselves into the frame. The next step is now, can they do it on an international level? And we need to get the opportunity to test them and test ourselves with as many games as we can before the actual tournament.
This is for Dave. One of the big issues in sport in general in New Zealand, many codes, is getting bums on seats and a somewhat apathetic attitude by many New Zealanders. Does that worry you? Especially given the timing of the tournament basically heading into the teeth of winter.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're correct in summarising the challenge with any code and just about any market in the world at the moment, but actually what I think is good about this product is it's fresh for New Zealand. This will be the best football we've ever seen in this country. It is a global world event, and I think New Zealanders do come out in force for that. You know, we saw them turn out for rugby. I think one of the best things that can happen for our tournament is that the Cricket World Cup's a knockout success. New Zealanders will get back in that headspace again and learn to support major events. And I think actually I see winter as a bonus actually. I mean, the football community will be engaged, they'll be playing, you know, we'll be talking to the football community, and they'll be the platform of the audience. And then there'll be a ripple effect out from there into other markets. So look, I'm more than confident we're going to get our target. And you know, I think what's actually unique about football as well is the noise, colour and passion of the in-stadium environment, which is different to rugby, cricket and other more traditional New Zealand sports. I think once Kiwis get a flavour of that and get a sense of it in the early games, you know, any few remaining tickets later on in the tournament will quickly be snapped up.
I guess to follow on for you, Darren, are you getting a sense of football, that this might be a test for football and how we as a country are starting to embrace it, or if it's still got a little niche somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment I still don't think the country knows what's coming, and events like tonight and the media that goes with it will just help increase, you know, everybody's understanding of what is coming, because it's going to be a massive event. You know, very exciting for everybody involved. So I think once we get over the next few events that are here in New Zealand and stuff, I think it will capture the imagination, especially like you say with the winter season starting and everyone getting into football mode, and then this will suddenly appear and everyone will start looking at the teams that are local to them, and I think it's going to be a great event.
Can I follow that up with maybe Marion or Jeffrey? Is it a risk for FIFA to bring a tournament this big to a country that doesn't have a traditionally massive football following?
I think this is the third championship that New Zealand has hosted. Really, I think that I don't think it's a risk at all. I believe it was a great decision for FIFA to bring the tournament to Oceania. Oceania, I noticed, had a Beach World Cup in 2013, and now of course I have the under 20 here. FIFA, of course, is responsible for, and some of its main objective is to build the sport and to grow the sport globally. And I believe that's in mind and focus with New Zealand.
And if I can add, we're working very closely with the LOC, and they have a really good promotion plan in place, and events like tonight, they're just really geared to get the attention of everybody. And what's happened lately in New Zealand football, with just the example of Auckland, the great success of Auckland, that's all helping to steer the attention. So we're very confident that this will be another great tournament with the great track record that's already there.
I think to add to, sorry if I may, just to add to what the lady said, I think it's a great opportunity for New Zealand to show the world your country, your culture, your heritage, and to show how passionate the New Zealand are about football. I think it's a great showpiece. It's a great advertisement for New Zealand and for the future of New Zealand. Sorry.
Jeffrey, over here again. You talk about New Zealand and establishing football as a big sport in this part of the world. What about countries like Myanmar and Fiji that are making their debuts? You must be delighted to get 2 new countries involved in this tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I think it goes really to show the overall global development of the game. I think FIFA started investing in global development really back in 1974, but the real initiative, the impetus came in 1999 with the vision of developing football from a global standpoint, with the financial assistance program, with various coaching education programs and so forth. And I think really when you look at Myanmar and you look at Fiji, it's really that vision really coming through.
So we'll take one last question.
Dave, you seem pretty excited about the draw. Can you tell us what's some of the most exciting prospects in terms of games or particular regions?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously I'm excited across the board for all the regions, but, when I'm thinking about filling the stadiums for this tournament, I keep coming back to the brand teams. And, when you look at Brazil going to New Plymouth for 2 games and then Christchurch, I mean, that's an ideal scenario for us where you've got a small region with a big team and a stadium that, thanks kindly to FIFA, have allowed us to have standing in that stadium in the area. So it's actually got quite a reasonable capacity. That kind of outcome is a small example of, I think, of one of the gems of the draw from my perspective. We look at the likes of Hamilton, Qatar, Colombia, Portugal, and then CAF 4. I mean, that is all going to be outstanding football, and that's another big stadium. So, and then of course Wellington being our biggest stadium, having Argentina there, and then I think one of the key days of the whole tournament actually is going to be when New Zealand go to play their 3rd round match in Wellington on the 5th of June. And so the warm-up match for the New Zealand-Myanmar game will be Argentina. So, you wouldn't get much better than double header football than Argentina in one game followed by New Zealand in the next. So those are kind of the early highlights without having a chance to really sit down and map it all.
Okay, so we thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you back in May. Thanks.